Hello, welcome to our Facebook Live. This is our go-to business resource, pros and peers. We're here with Digital Sandbox today at the Ennovation Center in Works Lab. So thank you to Works Lab for allowing us to be here today. And thanks, Jeff, so much for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure.
We're really excited about this series that we're doing. It's going to be multiple parts, and it's really all about business resources in the Kansas City and around the Kansas City region. But then also for businesses out there that are starting or growing, it's really all about what are resources out there for you, what professionals are there, and also learning from peers too. So really, the last week we did a series with KC SourceLink, and that was really thrilling. We really talked about what resources are out there in the Kansas City region, but we also talked about them as a startup. Really, find a problem, fill a need, offer a solution. So as you're an entrepreneur out there, you've got an idea, it's really, find a problem, fill a need, offer a solution. However, once you get that idea, you also need to fund it, grow it, build it. And I'm so excited that you joined us today because in the Kansas City region for the entrepreneurial community and for those tech-oriented ideas that are ready to roll, Digital Sandbox is absolutely the go-to place. The resources that you offer are fantastic. The connect the dots within the community is terrific. So, Jeff, I thank you again for being here. And really, when we talk about marketing and when we talk about also funding for those, so you've got an idea. Now what?
Well, I think so. Great to be out here. You had SourceLink last week, so you talked about the number of resources we have
Yes.
in the metropolitan area, including the Ennovation Center here and the iWorks Center inside and all the others. I think the key is you've got an idea. Hopefully you are solving a problem because that gives you a market to get into quickly.
Which is important for longevity
Yes.
in the life of a company.
Yeah, then I think it's find as much expertise as you can to help you. What we see in the sandbox, excuse me, and we've seen 350 plus present to us over the last 3.5 years.
That's awesome.
Those that are using multiple resources seem to be much closer to being on the right track and moving forward quicker than those that try to go alone. So I think sometimes there's a tendency that I've thought of an idea, there's a problem, I don't want to tell anybody, I want to keep it secret. I usually tell folks, 99% of the time somebody else has already thought of it. I love the saying, pioneers got slaughtered, settlers got rich. So it's not the first person who thinks of it, it's the person or persons who then take it, find the right resources, move forward and get on that traction, right?
So you really do have to have, as an inventor or an idea generator or as an entrepreneur that has an idea, you really have to know what you can say from an intellectual property perspective above that cut line. Mm-hmm. You've got to be able to articulate and present that idea without the question that everybody's going to sign an NDA along the way. Because if you're not able to articulate that, oh my gosh, then how do you even let anyone know about that? You live in an island that way.
Well, and a lot of the ideas we see, the Digital Sandbox, are around software development, code, mobile platforms, web platforms. Most of the time you can't get any intellectual property around that. It's tough to copyright code. You can usually circumvent that fairly easily. It's more about getting your product built, getting customers, growing those customers, and filling the need as quickly as possible, right? So your barrier of entry to others becomes you're in the marketplace, you've already built that solution, and you're solving the problem. There are other barriers of entry. I tell people if you can find some really difficult, complex, boring problems to solve, that's a barrier of entry. A lot of folks don't want to deal with the mundane, and a lot of people have made a lot of wealth from the mundane.
Right.
But now if you're building a technical product, a better microchip or a better physical product, there's certainly intellectual property that you can, and we try to coach and help people try to determine, is there a way to gain some IP? But most of the time, you're going to want to work with a lot of different people who have different areas of expertise, whether that's finance, whether that's marketing, whether that's business development, whatever it may be. You can't run around and ask people to sign NDAs who are mentors and advisors, sit on boards, are part of the sandbox. We see way too many ideas. We won't do it. So then you do put yourself on an island. And it's funny, early in the sandbox, one of the gentlemen that came to us had said, I've been working all by myself for 2.5 years. I'm just worn out. I'm like, why are you working by yourself? Well, I was afraid to share the idea with anyone. Well, it was a software-based idea that really couldn't be protected, but it had a unique niche that not a lot of people wanted to play in. And it's like, so for him, it was just get into places like this, co-working spaces where there's other people that you can talk to and not feel like I'm chipping away at this rock all day long, all by myself, and nobody knows it.
Well, and that was one of the points actually that we had briefly discussed last time on our Facebook Live, that if you have an entrepreneur that knows everything, the challenge is no entrepreneur knows everything. So to be able to grow and learn with the expertise and have an expectation that some of that expertise you're going to have to pay for. It's not, don't have an expectation out there that that you're going to get everything for free. We're an inclusive environment, so we want to make sure that as resource providers, our resources are at no cost. But you've got to be able to build a strong team that knows what they're doing. And then also, from the Sandbox perspective, one of the things that I think is really phenomenal, when people do come in front of the Sandbox, when they do come, it's early stage funding. But it's also that resource, the breadth of resource that you have around that's so exciting, because you have resource providers, you have UMKC, you have SBTDC.
We have potential investors.
Right, you have potential investors, you have private sector that have been there, done that, and know what they're doing.
Right. So what we've seen is, you know, we offer grants, development grants up to $25,000, but what we've seen is the connections that tend to get made are far more valuable. So you take a company, startup like, excuse me, RFP 365 that came to us with their idea of how do you automate the RFP process. You know, the pricing was really kind of geared more at consumers than at the enterprises they wanted to call on. And one of our evaluating team members happened to be in the IT space buying large software on a regular basis, said, you know, I wouldn't entertain looking at your product simply because it sounds like a consumer product based at that price. I'm used to this range and this time. So they gave that thought, came back to us, kind of modified some things, and have been a wild success ever since. So it's feedback, and then it's connections. We have a lot of people that maybe don't have financial background. You know what? And they're corporate partners in the Sprint or a VML or a UMB or all those places say, we got all kinds of people with finance experience. Let's sit down and talk about that. So it really is making connections at the right time to the right connection springboards these folks forward. You know, you said something about an entrepreneur who knows it all. I've often said if you knew it all what you were about to get into, you wouldn't get into it.
Yeah, I mean, there is that.
There's just so many hurdles to clear and so on, but nobody does. And so it really is find expertise in areas. Most of the time we can find somebody that's kind of been there, done that. Not maybe exactly in your product or your service, but certainly in a similar area. That's why I think the co-working space has become so valuable, right? You get some really, really bright, talented people, but they all run into different hurdles at different times. And so if you're in an environment where there's a number of people, man, I don't know how to get over this hurdle. And, you know, we were there. Here's what we did. It may not be exactly what they do, but boy, it makes you feel better. Somebody else fought the same battle I am. And two, they're giving me some advice. And, you know, that's a uniqueness of this metropolitan area. 99% of the people I see want to help.
Absolutely.
If you ask, hey, could you help? Would you? Can you? How can you? They're like, tell me what you need. So we have to take advantage of that. I think it's a strength of this metropolitan area, and so that's what we try to do. You know, I tell folks we had SourceLink last week. When they go, where do I start? Well, that'd be a great place to start. Come to the Sandbox. I tell everyone I meet, you meet people with any idea whatsoever. I don't really care what it is. And they're struggling to figure out where to go. Send them my way, and we'll make sure they get directed to the right resource.
Well, and that's that go-to. That's why we're calling this the Go-To Biz Resources and Go-To Biz Pro Series, because it really is about the go-to resource that we have in the Kansas City area that are so unique and so interesting, and are there for the sole purpose of we all exist for the sole purpose of helping to build business grow. And so that's what in our community. We have a bit of a unique relationship with Digital Sandbox because as we were building our InTech or our tech growth program, we recognized early on, thanks to SourceLink, thanks to the connections that we have through networking, that Digital Sandbox was a critical part of and the centerpiece of being able to introduce tech-oriented companies, projects, early stage, to the idea of early stage funding, but also to the marketplace that we have in the region in that area. Because, as you said, you see hundreds of ideas come through. You've been able to fund, which is awesome. And I know we've got a pitch that's going on, or how to pitch to the Sandbox. So on March 7th.
I'm looking, yes.
Yes, we have that. March 7th. We have a pitch at 4747 Truce, how to pitch to the Sandbox. So if you want to learn more about Digital Sandbox, and if you want to learn more about how to pitch to Digital Sandbox, which is absolutely important, you have to be prepared to go in front of these professionals. As Jeff indicated, when you come in and when you're working with your idea, it's not just sit down and here I am and this is what I have. You want to do some preparation. You're going to talk about how to pitch to the Sandbox so that people understand, people with those early stage ideas or those growing ideas, understand really what you need to do to prepare to be able to be in front of people in the know that are experts in their field that can help you grow.
And not only us, I mean, if you look at the Digital Sandbox website to quote unquote apply, which is really develop a 2 to 3 page executive summary, we list the topics, if you will, or the subject matters that you should cover. Then we try to coach, if you're going to come see us, you've got a 10-minute, precisely 10-minute to pitch, followed by 20 minutes of Q&A. And so we're trying to prepare them as much as possible, not only for the Sandbox, but they're going to need that moving down the pike. Because our goal is to get them some version of a product built and then help them go raise some real funding so they can hire people, create the jobs, and continue that path towards commercialization. So, we welcome any and all. We love working with the Ennovation Center here. We work with some other. We're gonna haven't even made a public announcement, but we'll launch in another area here soon.
We are on live.
I caught myself on that. So I don't want to preempt our own press releases. But no, the program's been successful, and our goal was to fill a gap. To fill the gap in the ecosystem of, you have an idea, you're very early stage, where do I go, where do I start? And then also we can supplement that with up to $25,000 in funding to help you get some early version built. With that, we can help you then move down that, what I call that evolutionary path towards commercialization. But if you can't get through that first gate, you're never going to get there. And all of our worlds are creating companies which create jobs and continuing to grow the economy here. I'm a big believer the only long-term sustainable economy is built around entrepreneurship. We cannot depend on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 large companies. We got to continue to build. So the diversity here is incredible of industries and talent and people and ideas. It's just been crazy since we launched in 2013 of how many talented people we have with great ideas who just said, I didn't know where to go.
Yeah, that's
and so all of us are trying to solve that same problem of, we'll tell you where to go next. And I tell early stage entrepreneurs, always think in terms of milestones. Yes. What's your next milestone? Don't. We all want to look down the road and go, wow, when I'm a huge conglomerate. No. What's the next milestone? Is it getting, is it making a coffee cup with a handle on it? Okay, then that's your milestone. Don't worry about what happens after that. If you can keep hitting milestones, that's the successful ones.
That's fantastic.
What's next? What's next? So, applaud you guys and all the work you do out here. Love the partnership we have. We need partnerships like this all throughout the metropolitan area if we're going to make this America's most entrepreneurial city, which is certainly our stated goal.
Well, and so we're really thrilled. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're really thrilled that that Digital Sandbox exists here, and just as we were talking about find a need, find a problem, fill a need, offer a solution, Digital Sandbox really fills that and offers that solution to that next step, that particular piece that's going to help business grow and really a jump point in the marketplace. So real thrilled about this. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited about this. Next week we're going to have, and so I did this last week and I said who we were going to have, and I apologize because I got my schedule mixed up, but so again live. But next week we're going to have with us Square One for Business, and they offer, it's affiliated with Mid-Continent Library, and they offer some really fantastic direct boot camp and bootstrap and really subject-oriented resources. So we're excited about that. Thank you all for joining us on Facebook Live. Thank you all so much for being able to connect today. We apologize that we had a little bit of delay in that time, but you can watch us anytime at your convenience. And please do join Jeff on March 7th at 4747 Truce to learn more about Digital Sandbox and how you can pitch. You can go online at Digital Sandbox KC. Again, that is actually the online version is a terrific executive summary. So if you haven't been able to articulate that, you don't really know what you're trying to say about your business, that forces you to kind of put it into a perspective. Thanks again for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.